Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to San Diego. Look at this view. Being at Emerge is my absolute favorite moment of the year because coming together as a community really helps ground me in our shared purpose of financial health for all. That's especially true this year as we're all making our way in a world marked by turbulence and uncertainty. It's challenging to navigate through all of the news and the noise and find true north. For me, nothing helps clarify my priorities more than listening to the people we serve. And that video that we just saw, that was a real wake-up call. Could you imagine losing everything you own in a storm? Or struggling under the weight of $100,000 of credit card debt? Or trying to hold a family together without the bare essentials? Listening to those stories, seeing the looks on their faces, I could almost sense just how overwhelmed they feel. These stories aren't exceptions. These are the reality for the tens of millions of people. And as financial health professionals, it can feel equally overwhelming to figure out how to be part of the solution against a backdrop of on-again, off-again tariffs, the threat of a recession, and a rise in the frequency and severity of storms and wildfires. In moments like these, it's tempting to stay in bed, hide under the covers. But we simply cannot allow the uncertainty and the uproar to paralyze us. There's no cavalry on the horizon. The responsibility to meet the moment is ours and ours alone. Even if the actions we take feel small relative to the size of the problem, we must act. Because small actions taken with intention can have outsized impact. Let me show you what I mean. Every day in the United States, 2 people are killed by drivers running red lights. About 30 years ago, cities across the country tried to solve this problem by installing red light cameras at busy intersections. They were betting that the threat of a ticket would make us brake. And the cameras flashed and tickets piled up and city coffers filled, and yet crashes hardly fell. And so engineers tried a different angle. They shifted their focus away from the red light and instead experimented with increasing the duration of the yellow light, giving people more time to get through the intersection before the light turned red. It turns out that by letting the yellow light shine for as little as 1 second longer, crashes were reduced by 40%. Small change, big impact. If traffic engineers could save more than 300 lives a year with a simple 1-second adjustment, imagine the impact you could have on the financial lives of your customers and your workforce by making small but meaningful changes to your products and your benefits. What's the equivalent in your work of adding 1 second to the yellow light? What if you gave your borrowers the power to choose their own due dates for their monthly loan payments? This may sound obvious, but most auto loan payments are due on the date that the borrower drives the car off the lot. Convenient for lenders, but stressful for borrowers. Put yourself in their shoes. You purchased the car on the 12th, but your paycheck doesn't arrive until the 15th. Every month, that 3-day gap creates anxiety. Will I have enough money in my account to make payment? Will I be hit by a late fee if I don't? Will the bank repossess my car? Beneficial State Bank decided to flip the script. During the standard welcome call, the bank texted new borrowers a simple form allowing them to pick a loan payment date that aligned with their payday. A control group kept the old process, and the results were remarkable. Duke University's Common Sense Lab found that borrowers who received the form had 27% fewer late payments and paid 10% more toward their loan. Customers benefited from fewer late fees and improved credit scores, while the bank saw fewer missed payments and charge-offs. Small change, big impact. What if consumers could see both the perks and the drawbacks of financial products side by side? Too often, customers are wooed with rewards while being left to guess at the risks. Commonwealth Bank of Australia set out to test the power of transparency in helping consumers choose the right credit card. Some shoppers saw the standard marketing display of the bank's credit card offerings along with the advantages of each one. Others saw a version that also included information on the trade-offs. And the results were powerful. Consumers who saw the trade-offs were 10% less likely to make late payments while spending nearly 10% more every month. And they were 20% less likely to cancel their cards after 9 months. Small change, big impact. These examples remind us that we don't have to wait for sweeping policy reform or multi-million-dollar investments or our company's next strategic planning process to drive positive financial health outcomes for our customers and our workers. We can start now by making relatively small, thoughtful, human-centered choices in our everyday work. Imagine a future where every financial product is intentionally designed to improve financial health. It starts with examples like these, but it can't end there. The moment we're in demands more than individual success stories. It demands that we harness the power of our collective action to build an economy that works for everyone. To do that, we need more than good intentions. We need standards. Standards have the power to drive systemic change. From building codes to nutrition labels to traffic lights, standards have revolutionized industries by setting clear expectations and incentives that shape behavior. In today's relaxed regulatory environment, aligning with financial health standards is even more important for building trust, strengthening customer relationships, enhancing brand value, and improving long-term performance. With standards in place, financial health can become the norm. In partnership with all of you, the Financial Health Network has been building towards standards for 2 decades. We've created principles and frameworks. We have partnered with dozens of organizations to test what works, and we've created best practice guides based on the results of those tests. We've also collaborated with J.D. Power to identify the kinds of financial health experiences that drive customer satisfaction. And the data demonstrates a strong business case. Satisfaction increases by double digits when a customer uses just one bank tool to help them better spend, save, borrow, or plan. In fact, financially healthy customers experience the biggest jump. But these tools also drive meaningful improvements for customers who are financially challenged. For instance, financially vulnerable customers who use their bank's digital budgeting tool to help manage their spending experience a 34% increase in satisfaction. Small change, big impact. Financial providers have so many ways that they can be part of the solution. And now it's time to codify them. And so today I am thrilled to share with you a brand new set of standards for designing checking accounts and credit cards that help consumers spend well. Developed with input from an advisory board of your peers, these standards provide clear, actionable guidelines for designing the account features and policies and the onboarding and accessibility practices that have been proven to make a positive difference in people's financial lives and in your bottom line. For instance, one of the standards enables customers to choose their own monthly payment date for credit cards, just like Beneficial State Bank does for auto loans. Another standard increases transparency for consumers by sharing checking account and credit card trade-offs, like Commonwealth Bank of Australia does. To be clear, this isn't a compliance exercise. It's about building profitable businesses that drive impact. These standards are intentionally designed to be adaptable, offering pathways for both incremental improvement and bold innovation, while collectively transforming industry practice. At the end of the summer, we'll publish an initial assessment of how the largest banks and credit unions perform against these standards. Not to call anyone out, but to call everyone forward. Because transparency is the first step towards accountability. And accountability is what moves us from intentions to measurable impact. So let's get started. Please take a moment now to download the standards by scanning the QR code on the screen. I'm inviting you to take your phones out, turn them on. Join the breakout session on standards tomorrow afternoon for a deeper dive. And then use the scorecard we provide in the report to assess how your institution's products stack up. My ask is that by the end of the year, your institution commits to adopting at least one of the standards it isn't yet meeting. When we come back together a year from now for our next Emerge conference, I want to be able to celebrate our progress in putting proven ideas into widespread practice and raising the bar for what good looks like. Our vision is to build a comprehensive library of standards, not just for checking accounts and credit cards, but for every product that shapes a person's financial life. The standards we're releasing today are just the first step, and they're only as powerful as the people who bring them to life. That's all of you. And we need your voices and your leadership more than ever. Over the next 3 days, you'll have the opportunity to hear directly from consumers, many of them your customers, about their lives, their challenges, and their aspirations. Listening deeply to their stories is essential for understanding the real-world needs that our products and solutions must address. But listening alone isn't enough. We must act. Each of us individually can make small changes that drive meaningful impacts. Yet to truly transform financial health levels in America, we must come together and embrace standards that unite our industry in purpose and practice. Together we can and we will create financial health for all. Onward